showed how how you can make a spaceship out of 3 reactors. This is very simple. Some of you, I have to get my camera sorted. I have a problem with this camera, but one day I get it right, if it's not too late. So what you have a plasma. Let me turn this down because I try to see what I do. If this is a plasma, you have we show 3 bases, and we said interaction of these plasmas will create the dome, what you call a spaceship. What happened is we showed how the new structure of motion has come into operation for humanity. You don't need to have materials to build up aircrafts. You use from now on the energy of the plasma by the interaction of the plasmas to create tangibility. You see 3 red dots on the front, on the ground. The way you understand is these are the 3 reactors. And you hope that the interaction of these 3 reactors will create the structure of the spaceship. Can we have the next page, please? The next picture with the half circle at the bottom. Yeah. But the problem with this is, how do you start these 3 red dots to 3 reactors moving? How do you, if you put a plasma on the floor, it doesn't do anything. It has to be a dynamic plasma, which the interaction between the fields of these 3 reactors creates slowing down of the fields, which leads to tangibility. You cannot fly in the air. How can we create a dynamic plasma without the wheels, without the motor? We can rotate it. We put it on another what I call a wheel. We call it a motor. All it is, instead of having a wheel at the end, we put a core on top of it. That's what we've done up to now. But all the purpose, all the work for creating motion in the plasma has been on the back of rotating the plasma with a motor, again another sphere, another energy source. In the universe, we don't see any motors. How does a galaxy start in the universe? How does a planet start in the universe? That this interaction leads to the motion of the creation of a matter to become a planet or a star, and then rotate. I showed you the system 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, and none of you understood. You just looked at it because you're so hungry for energy that you missed the game. Let me explain to you for the first time how you create motion for the plasma. And when you create the motion for a plasma, then you do not need wheels. As a lot of people who are close to me, they know, we call human race the 4-wheelers. Nowhere else in the universe wheels have ever been used. But humans decided this is the way they want to go, so you have developed technologies around wheels. Universe works on plasma. Position of the plasma. Plasma has 2 things. It has an entry and it has an exit. Plasma is a magnet. Flip it around. There we are.
There you go.
There you go. Now we come this way. The field has an entry and field has an exit. But in fact, it's still a plasma. It's still...
Hold on.
Pardon?
I just want to say something so that other people maybe don't understand. We put several reactors together, and energy fields that are released from the reactors, they come and create a cascading vortex and manifest physical reality. So maybe they understand a little more.
It's okay. It's your explanation. You're not wrong.
What I'm trying to explain to the people who are listening, sometimes people don't understand what's going on.
Yeah, that's why we teach together. That's good. Thanks very much, Brad. So the position is that the interaction of these plasmas next to each other, a number of them, will create interaction of the fields on either side, in every direction. And if in these interactions, in a section, leads to the slowing down of these fields here to be in a matter state, then it appears manifests itself as a matter at that point. When we put a number of reactors in a position, we get this understanding of these fields interacting with each other, and that so many fields crossing each other at the same time creates the losses that they give a physical tangibility to the matter. So we see structure. Because in this zone, the field interaction is enough that creates tangibility. This is how, in a specific way, different form, the 3 layers of the body of the man on the skin creates the illusion of the physicality of your skin with the hairs on it. Your physicality is nothing but illusion of the interaction of the fields to the state of matter. Your physical structure is in a gaseous state, is in the plasma state. So, if you understood this, we go to the next step to understand. The question goes, if I leave 3 reactors here on the floor, all of you have it because on the base, how many of you have managed to see your 3 reactor base create any tangibility? Even though you stuck them on a motor and you rotated them. None of you up to now have confirmed tangibility. The reason being is that the tangibility of the matter is blocked by the matter itself. Your reactors allow the fields above matter to go out, but the fields within the matter zone are attracted back to itself. That's why none of you have seen tangibility. So how do we come to get tangibility? For us to rotate, we needed the motors. We had these motors. We needed to rotate it somehow. In the universe, as I said, there is no motor. How do we create tangibility? How do we bring reality, the creation of the system, that it can encompass us, can contain us, but at the same time, we have the freedom of the move. Our skin moves, but still tangible. Give the illusion of tangibility. Our bone is nothing but a bunch of gases, but it gives us the illusion of the physicality of the hard bone. How do we achieve this? How can we create rotating plasma without any motors? That now we become a step closer to the work of the universe than the wheels of the man. I always go with one of my favorite quotes from Marco, Gradient. Yesterday teaching I said this as well. Motion comes through the conversion and loss and creation of gradient. If you have the same level, there is no motion of the plasma. But if in plasma, part of the plasma has to reach a different strength, the flow of the plasma from higher strength to lower strength create a motion of the field. How have you managed? How can you manage to create such a motion? If you go back, all of you have seen the motion manufacturing system plasma in the last day of the teaching in training in Baleta. I showed it to you, but none of you had the standstill point to understand. I showed you three systems for motion and control of the plasma without the need for motors. Because the purpose of all these reactors we built, all these motors we put in, was to create motion of the plasma, nothing else. We wanted to make the plasma dynamic, not the motors, not the cores. How do we create this? How does it done? And how did the system which we showed you has created this? Because once you can create the gradient, once you can create the motion of the plasma, then the plasmas will move in the right position of their own, where they are comfortable, and in the atmospheric condition of the Earth lead to tangibility. Or anywhere in the universe, as long as you have a high gradient in respect to your environmental plasma condition of the matter. How did it do? What did you miss in the show and in the shows in the past few days? The show was a magic, a very beautiful magic. Look, and I said in the teaching yesterday, if you kick yourselves, it's your problem, not mine. I showed it to you, you didn't see it. But I'm not a magician to hide things. I put it so much in front of you that you cannot believe it. I'll show you one. I've seen a lot of you on the internet are doing it, but you don't understand what you're doing. I created for you a spring. And then I created for you another spring. I call this the gravitational spring, which is always stronger. And I call this one the magnetical spring. And all of you, I've seen you're making it. You're all busy making the springs. But, boys, you missed the point. You were looking at this. I was looking in this environment. I'm looking for this. I'm looking for this. You look at the tangibility, I looked at the plasma motion. You were busy with this, but the world works on this. The universe works on this. So, now boys, listen very carefully. Or ladies. As I said, statistically we have very few ladies, but the ladies are the best scientists I know. So, now what happened? This is reactor 1, this is reactor 2, this is reactor 3. You have GANs of plasmas in there, but you can't rotate it, because GANs still half a step between the matter state and the plasma state. Listen, Armin, you received a picture from Armin? He sent you some spring coils?
Yep.
Can we have it on, please?
Sure, no problem. Just a moment. Want the first one, you mean?
I don't know, I haven't seen them. I'm like you, I'll be blind. I'll see what you send me. I trust Armin has done the right things.
I haven't seen them yet either, so I just downloaded them.
Okay, this is a coil, a flat coil I presume he made. Look at this coil. There's no difference between this coil, and if you allow my screen to come out, can you show the screen? My screen? There is no difference between that coil and the environment of this area. With the spring tangibility, you dictate the attachment of the plasma to the matter state. Can you go to the next picture? Now you see Armin has made from two ends of the same wire, two springs. Can we have the next one, please? Nah, we don't want this. Not mine, Armin's. Then he twists and opens up the springs, and you see it gives you a sphere shape. Now, can we have the next picture, please? Now, before he opens the spring, he puts another spring, the same sphere, slightly smaller, inside each other. So you have two sphere what do you call it? One is captured by the other one. Can we have the next one, please? This is what is the next one? Yeah, you see the two now go inside each other. The next one, please. Next one.
No.
That's it?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. So what is done is put, let's go back to the one which are two inside each other. Can you go back a couple of pictures from Aaron?
It's
Where
one
the two?
picture. The last one, Rick.
Good morning, Arman. You're still asleep.
Yes.
Okay. Can we have the picture which the two are inside each other?
This
The
one
small one.
The one hanging, yeah, the one which
Yeah,
is
the
hanging
hanging
inside
is
each other. Okay. This is your new reactor, gentlemen. This is your, what they call, new way, at least partially till you'll be able to go to the next step, to create a reactor that partially you can see tangibility. How do you create motion in such a thing as standing still? How create plasma in such a thing that you can hold it? Very simple. Nanocoat your material. Nanocoat both spheres while they're inside each other or separately and put them inside each other and nanocoat it again. But where does a plasma come from? How do you create a plasma inside what to you looks like a hollow thing? The whole universe is hollow. The whole universe works by interaction of the fields. The inner sphere becomes your gravitational ring. The outer sphere becomes your magnetical field. And because you have nano-coated material, they contain the plasma inside. They create their own plasma, but how do you do it without rotation? How do you create the rotation in that minimal space inside that is dynamic and you have to trust that it is? Very simple. Very, very simple. Place this. Can we go back to my drawing, please? Place your spheres, which we just seen, between your rings. Magnetical, gravitational. Gravitational has a stronger field, magnetical, weaker field. Connect your system to create a plasmatic current flow. And the way you saw with Alex, you connected the two there. So now the fields have to create stronger field converting to a slower. My friends, you have created the anti-clock rotation of the plasma in the quartz. If you can create a dynamic variation of the drainage of energy in a plasmatic form, you change the speed of the rotation of the plasma. Because part of the fields going from this way and part of the fields going in there, in this environment interacting, creates plasmatic field exactly as we did with the three cores. You start creating plasma out of the structure of plasmas. Then what's going to happen? If you look at this and you understand this, go back on my teaching of last week. I told you don't expect to make your aircraft 200 meter long, wide. You start with 1 or 2 centimeters. When you position your reactors in this configuration inside your rings, and you let it run by draining plasma energy, not by putting current through it, that the gradient sits this way up because gravitational is stronger than magnetic, where the flow is this way. So what's going to happen? You start creating dynamic motion in your reactors. The way you came and understood the position of the rotation of 129 Tesla, you start seeing rotation in your material, in your cores like this. But the beauty of it is, I explained to you in a very simple way. I'm going to draw you a flat version. The flat version, I'm going to make it like a transparent that you can see. This is cross-section from the coils and the cores. This is your coils, outside coil. This is your inside, this is your magnetical coil, this one. I draw inside you, but they're the same height, the same size copper wires, but coiled. This is your magnetical. And if you look, this is your reactors sitting here. Now you are creating a dynamic field in these reactors. Good morning. So what's going to happen? The field motion in these coils will come to operation this way. You got to be patient. Take your time. Very, very slowly. Take time as much as you can. Let it build up. Because don't forget, the nanomaterials themselves create a plasma flow with the interaction of the 3 other rings. Then what happens? In time, you will see a fascinating movement. That's yours, that's not mine. I think so. Unless it's no problem. So I've taken over somebody's office, so they're trying to accommodate me. So what happens? Now, a strange thing will happen. You will see, if you can make this position hanging from a table, you will see this. These 3 reactors will start moving down. So what you do, you find out that because the 3 rings, don't forget, you're looking at a ring. If I can draw it here, you're looking at another ring, and you're looking at your 3 reactors in the angle. So what happens? These fields have to find their position in respect to each other, and these fields have to find their position. You find your reactors will move themselves to lower position. So now you have created a field condition, and when they move to a lower position, you usually find one of them will not accept this position till very last. So the plate, your cores, will move down to their own position, and now you have the 2 layers of the skin of the man. One layer is these reactors, one layer is your ring. And what happens? How do you create the 3rd layer to give it tangibility? Very simple. When you made your rings, I keep on telling you, and even Armin and others you will see, we keep you in the position of the magnetical, gravitational, and the magnetical. And then you have your 3 cores. you should do another thing. You place the fourth core in the middle on the same plane. So, in fact, if you look at this, here you have a core sitting in the background behind the other, in this position. This is the fourth core sitting inside the circle as you see it. If you look at the cross section, this is where it is. What happens with the fourth core here is that the fourth core, by the law of physics in atomic structure, moves upwards and finds a new position. Now you find this becomes the boundary of your craft, this becomes the basis, and now you got your dome. 3 layers of the fields. This is how you make the structure. And you find out, because of the positioning of the rings, you get tangibility of the physicality of the bone, very much like this. So now you create the bone structure. The platform, the base, and this is the true plasma star formation without any reactor tangibility. So now the step is, do we allow the rings to interfere to create the plasma condition? But don't forget, because of the positioning of the reactors, all these plasmas stay highly dynamic, but imbalanced dynamic in respect to each other. This is why, can we have the picture of the third picture of the system we showed last week, please, Vince? Now you see the positioning. The inner dots are the gravitational ring. The outer dots are magnetical ring. And when you create the right fields, the 3 reactors which are in 120 degrees drop down to find a balance between the lots. It's a magnetic gravitational positioning. And if you have loaded, if you have made a homogeneous nano coating of your copper coil, you'll find the position will be flat. So you have a plant, and then you find a third one up, and strange enough, you see this central disk, which is the white one. So what you will see is that the reactor which was here moved down here. The reactor which was somewhere here has moved to the third leg there, and the reactor which was somewhere here comes to here. And then the reactor which is here, the fourth reactor in the center, will move up somewhere here. And your dome gets completed. 3 layers of the skin of the man. But the middle layer, which is here, this middle layer has an important function to play. Then, because it has an important function to play, it becomes the bone structure of the body. You can build another layer on top of this to big layers. You can make a layer here the same, a layer here the same, as long as falls within the structure of the fourth reactor. This is very important as we understand the totality. This is how you create plasma reactors spaceship without any matter. And that's why I said start with a few centimeters and build it up, because then you can follow the whole structure backwards. So if you listen to the talk we did yesterday, you will see that I explain how you can literally add to it. You bring the ring, 12 rings further out. By bringing them out, you expand your dome. So now you see how simply I have brought you through step by step of producing a tangible entity out of the fields of the plasma. This is why when we show that platform with Marco, I explained to you this is one of the most significant systems you'll ever see. This is the alphabet of the foundation. And then with the springs next to it, which are hanging, the two springs, I showed a spring version, and all of you looked for the energy for it. That was the beginning of the end of the use of matter. Now man has the knowledge to work without motors. If you go back to the teachings of the medical teachings, the first 2 or 3 or so, when we talked about the bone and we talked about the skin of the man, you will see the same structure. You see the same process. If you look at the structure of the tangible planetary and galaxy, you see the same structure. Now you understand? By creating, by showing you how to make these rings, the intention was not energy. The intention was the flow of magnetic field from one to another, a continuous flow. Everything is nano-coated, so it's only in a field state, plasmatic field state. And by draining it, which you were looking for energy, I created a continuous change that creates rotation in the course. That was the secret. That was none of you ever could go and do. So when you want to create a plasma from now on to be dynamic to make your reactors, if you understood this, you will not use the coils, which we just showed it out. You put in this position a dot of nano cans. If you can do that, then the dot, because it creates a field of itself, it makes you a plasma without any boundary. And when the field strength is correct, the 3 positions, the 3 dots will fall down, the top dots will go up, you have your spacecraft. Because the energy balance will come into operation. If you look at the system, which do you have a picture of the hanging cords in the teaching of the last day of the teaching in the foundation in Valletta? Now I have shown you a total spring, and next to it hanging in pieces of a string with added pieces connected to each other. If you mix the two together, then you have both energy and creation of the free plasma. So what happens in this drawing and in what we're going to see, you will see we'll have all the information.
This is what you're talking about, Mr.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, that's perfect. I'm gonna go on my pen. I love this pen. It gives me a lot of freedom. You see these beads here. I have to go here, go like this, and pick up, let's say, here, these beads in 6 and 12, 6 inside, 12 outside, and these rings, when they're done the right way, you create a faster free plasma condition. But you have to pinpoint where you want your free plasmas to be. In fact, if you, in some teachings before I indicated it, but as you were not aware of the knowledge, you did not understand. This is very much like when a diamond is created. Diamond has a seed which explodes like a popcorn. By putting these here, you put the seed of the popcorn, and the popcorn grows up to be a plasma, a free plasma. This is why when you chew on the popcorn, it's soft outside, but you get to the center. So you don't need to have the reactors which Alma showed us. You need to position a seed, get your transfer of energy from the gravitational magnetic field feeds into gravitational magnetic fields of the energy. There is a way which we have devised that instead of carrying this with us, now with the team are working in the background, we place this one inside this one. So you don't have two cores next to each other like this. One becomes magnetical, one becomes gravitational. But now with two pipes, two springs going inside each other. Armand, do you have one of the ones you made, the long one you were talking about, you were showing me? So what we've done with placing this inside this, what I mean, and let me change it that you can see it. Okay, come down boy. By placing this one here inside this one, we have confined the gravitational to constant pressure of magnetical as a tube. So what we've done, we have put this one inside this one. What they call like a coaxial tube spring. And when you put them in, you have the property of this structure with the property of this structure together. You bring the two together. So what happens is that you will get the advantage of both systems, where you create gravitational magnetic field in this combination as a double layer, and then because then you make two of them, you put two double core inside each other, and each one makes a magnetical and one makes a gravitational. Now you have a very strong field to build up your plasma free tangible system. First time man ever has managed to do it. You will see it. It takes a lot of experience. You need time. Do not get disappointed if you don't make it, because most of the time the energy of these plasmas you place the seeds of popcorn you put in becomes part of the structure of the whole magnetic gravitational field. We have developed with the team in the background which I'm working with a different structure which we will show. It'll be going to energy producing as a blueprint for everyone to produce worldwide. In that structure, what you see here now is a double core. I've lost it. Oh, back at my thing. So you have an interface of the plasmas, the gradient, so the field interaction between here and here, where both create gravitational magnetic field in respect to each other. You call this one the Earth ring, you call this the Sun ring. The field interaction between these two here, going across each other, with you putting a seed in this position, you see how the plasma gathers around it, and you make your free plasma without tangibility, because the seed sits in the center of the popcorn. But that seed cannot be in a matter state, because then you have the same problem as your cores as you had up to. You have to develop a condition that the GANs and the nanomaterials here in this section have capability to have tangibility but not influencing the fields. And then you find out your fourth reactor somewhere here, will move on to balance with these 3 reactors in the base. So the lift is achieved. At the same time, what has happened, the flow between these 2 rings, here and here, gives you the power which you see here as connected
Wait,
to this
pronto?
module, the way we are here. So
Ciao,
your
Giovanni.
system creates field motion, and your system at the same time creates energy.
Ciao.
This is the habit of the universal system.
Guarda Giovanni, io
Then,
no,
when
non ce
this
la faccio a
happens, the
venire,
interaction
guarda.
between the 4 reactors, and now this becoming
sono
your
lì con...
base,
Sì,
it gives
ti
you
ringrazio. Sarò lì con voi comunque.
it gives you
Però
the
insomma
structure bottom, the structure top,
no.
and it gives you the field. That's what I said on the 15th of
Dai,
September
va
in the
bene.
university.
Dai,
We
ok,
will
grazie.
show this.
Ciao,
There's
ciao,
a
ciao.
point
ciao.
which I was supposed to remember, I forgot in my old age, is that how do you do it? How you bracket it? In positioning 2 rings, and part of it is created by the environment, and part of it is due to what we call Darwin effect, evolution. So this environmental effect